Welcome to Healing Wisdom, a Thursday morning talk show featuring guests sharing their stories and knowledge. We discuss the healing aspects of the arts, metaphysics, social justice, and adventure through all types of terrain. So join me, Pandora Peoples, here on WOMR 92.1 FM in Provincetown and WFMR 91.3 FM in Orleans. We're streaming worldwide at WOMR.org. Our theme music is provided by Mazen. You can find her website at mazenmusic.com. Today we're speaking with drummer and music engineer Rikki Bates and film composer, singer, songwriter, actress, playwright Dana Butterfly McCoy about their new project, Blush. Rikki began her career as a percussionist with the Springfield Symphony Orchestra, double majored in Berklee arranging and composition and jazz composition, and performed with the Chandler Travis Philharmonic from 1998 to 2014. Dana Butterfly McCoy is the founding director of the boutique music, theater, and film production company, Featherweight Productions. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you. Great to be here.
First off, can you tell us about your project, Blush?
Take it, Rikki.
Well, let's see. Actually, so Pandora, you had asked me if I wanted to participate in your Women's Day program, which was really sweet, and I was very honored that you asked me. And it just so happens that I'm not a very good poet, and I'm not really a good songwriter. So I was like, well, what am I going to do? And I had my dear friend Dana, who was good at both of these things. And so I asked her if she wanted to help me out, and she graciously accepted the challenge. And we went through an interesting process to put it together. We recorded a bunch of conversations where I talked about being trans. And I learned the lyrics and did the vocal, and we threw it together really fast, and it came out great.
Sure, you have a lot to do with it. You totally inspired it, as Rikki just said. I said, what did Pandora exactly ask you for? And Rikki said that you had wanted a trans perspective to be included in Women's Day. And bless you for that. That's what made the light bulb go on. Okay, good. Let's talk about your actual experience and find out about that. And I got to learn a lot about Rikki along the way through that. And I don't think it's a monolith. It's very personal. But I think because of that, because Rikki's very special, I think it works.
To speak to that unique individualized experience, not necessarily being universal, but containing some universality to it. I'm thinking that a lot of minorities are expected to be a spokesperson for every person. And a lot of people maybe even shy away from discourse about it because they don't feel necessarily that their experience encapsulates the truth or that they have the absolute most universal perspective on their particular group that they would be representing. So I think that we need to have a lot more conversations because people need to understand that everybody has their own unique take and beliefs about everything, right?
You hit the nail on the head, because I've got my own opinions and feelings about who I am and who I feel like and my life experiences and stuff. And I have a lot of transgender friends, and we agree about a lot of things. Some of them that have to do with being transgender. Nobody's wrong. We're all transgenders, so we are all coming from a similar place. But everybody has their unique life experiences that they bring to the fore. And yeah, it gets to be like, well, I don't want to go speak for all transgender people because I don't want to have to carry that burden. I'm happy to talk about what I think.
Boxes is the first song, but it sounds like you guys are working on other songs as part of this umbrella that you began, Blush. I'm going to play Boxes.
Kennedy, I am writing this to you. I was born male. I never felt like a boy. I was never good at King of the Hill. I was right at home playing jacks with the girls, getting dressed for the party, and painting our nails. Growing up, back in the day, it was absolutely not okay to be gay, and I wasn't. I was a boy who loved girls who didn't feel like a boy. In some respects, which box do I check? Which box do I check? As a man, I began to understand, I suppose. I like the softness of silk clothes, silk sheets, soft kisses, soft folds. My passport says male, but is this a test? Do I pass or fail? Not all woman, not all man. I guess you could say I was born trans. Which box should I check? 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 I think I'm good. People say I'm kind. Yet this gentle spirit had to fight. Lawyers, courts, endless forms. Takes a toll to buck the norm. Costs were beyond extreme. Money, time, and parts of me. It wasn't choice. This is who I am. Could we have a box that says trans? Which box should I check? Which box should I check? I know I'm tall. My voice is deep. Love my hip sway, being light on my feet. I love being gentle with my strong hands. Sir, was your order targeting the trans? Because your order leaves a few folks out, kicks up fear and self-doubt. Should I even exist? Yet here I am, all woman, all man, proud trans. Which box should I check?
Awesome. I think it's just beautiful. And I feel like the more you do it and explore that part of yourself, like that's a whole new realm for you. And I am just 100% behind anything that you guys do together.
This is like the first time I've ever done a lead vocal. I've been playing music since I started playing drums in 1965, and I was in basement bands with kids, and there was a period where I played guitar and I did sing for a little bit, but we were just in the basement, and I never felt like I sang great, although I had a ball doing it. But I don't know. Then I ended up playing with musicians where I always felt like there were people who were much better singers than me, and I didn't want to embarrass myself, so I just shut up, and whacked the drums. But it was great to have this opportunity to do this. The lyrics that Dana came up with for the song really spoke to me. I mean, I guess a lot of it came from things that I said to her, even really in the first place. But it was really easy to deliver the whole thing from the heart, and I felt like I really had something to say, and I don't know, it just all came out of me really easy. And I am excited too, because I would really love to explore this more. Not to mention that I'm really excited to be able to work with Dana, who's so talented. I feel really lucky for that. So.
Well, I mean, make a love fest, but I feel also really excited because Pandora, here's how it went. So everything Rikki just said is right, but also Rikki, I knew as a drummer, I had not heard her sing, but I had a feeling, of course, maybe I'd heard her sing in a choir or something like that. So I just sang a track and I sang a general melody. Most of it was spoken anyway. I left it with Rikki, and when I came into the studio and she played me what she had done, I was like, oh my goodness, this is wow. Wow. I mean, I have chills right now thinking about it. She brought it home so hard and so well. I think we're a great team. Rikki and I met at church of all places. Actually, we had met before that just in the rock and roll world around P-Town, and then I ran into Rikki in Orleans on my way out of Joe Mama. It was like, do you remember? Hi, hello, Rikki, hi, and then turns out we go to the same church, and we worked on a project there. We just started to become friends, and I said, I think we should work together, and Rikki was like, yeah, let's do it. And the first project was something we did at church. So I wrote a musical called Lily the Tiger. And the album for that, it's a rock musical, and it's about it's just about completed, but one of the songs in it relates with some of the other questions you've mentioned, having to do with healing the divide. It's called Let Love Lead the Way. And I brought it into the UU because I was sensing there a divide. It's very odd. The UU church is so accepting of everything, but there's a political divide there. I'm interested in bringing that to the surface and talking about it. The idea that our perspective is right and others are wrong, and not listening to one another enough. So I brought this song in subversively and Rikki totally helped me with it, played hand drums on it for the project, and we rehearsed a lot. And I was loving working together. And so we're going to take the recording of the choir singing that song. It's called Let Love Lead the Way. We're going to sweeten that up. That'll be one of our projects. But at that time, we didn't have a focus yet. So because of you, we ended up working on this. And it's like, yeah, I can feel it. We're going forward with this thing. We need a name,
Blush is awesome. As a interdisciplinary artist, how do you feel that impacts a project like Blush?
One thing is, in music, you have a producer in the studio, and in theater, you have a director, but those ideas are really the same. In this project, Rikki did a lot of the technical aspects of our production. She produced in that way. I feel like I directed in terms of the vocal performance. And all I had to do was just say, Rikki, just talk to me. Just tell me your story. And, but I helped her stay on track with not trying to sound like my demo version of it or, getting off the beaten track that way. So my theater work has helped me understand how to get a good performance. And the more personal you are, the more universal you are. The more specific you are, the more universal you are. Things like that I learned in theater, but certainly apply in music. I've also taught acting at Berklee College of Music in New York City, because musicians who are playing the guitar or French horn or whatever it is, I've seen this, it's miraculous. They play very differently when they know who they're playing in this for, why they're playing it.
So I would love for you to speak a little bit more on that.
Well, it's very easy to try to hit the note. It's not that it's easy to hit notes. Trust me. Trust me. But it's easy to get caught up in trying to hit the note and be technically correct. And acting and theater training have helped me get away from that and try to remember, what is my point? Also, I had debilitating stage fright for most of my life. And what helped me with that, in fact, an actor who I was dating years ago, a very wonderful person, he introduced me to his acting coach. And that's how I ended up studying acting. I wasn't trying to be, I've never been an actor who went out there auditioning and trying to get commercials or any of the, traditional acting things. But I've been able to perform my own material, both in music and theater, because of the stage fright I had. I had presence. He'd seen me at Fez in New York City, a club that's not even there anymore, but a fabulous place. And he said, wow, what presence? How was that for you up there? I said, I don't remember. I had such bad stage fright, I blacked the whole thing out. So he took me to his acting coach, and she taught me, she was from the Actors Studio, Marcia Haufreck, and she taught me method acting and sense memory. And then I began to be able to stay present and remember what it is I'm trying to say, rather than, this is embarrassing, what are people thinking of me? What are people thinking of me is kind of a not helpful thought when you're there to deliver a message. I used to think of myself as a spiritual boxer, and featherweight is a boxing class. And I have a thing for Muhammad Ali and float like a butterfly, sting like a bee, because I felt like I have to fight everything. Now I keep the name because it's changed for me. It has much more to do with enlightenment. Put down the bat and pick up a feather, treat yourself kindly. And lightness or enlightenment, I don't think of that as some big, well, I'm wearing a Buddha t-shirt right now, but that's a coincidence. My friend gave me this and I just like it. But to be lighter, just simply for us to be lighter. So I think we bring messages through of love and healing and things like that, which I know you're very interested in. And I love that, Pandora. I love to do it through comedy and laughter and love, just joy and kindness, those things. I never learned anything through people being harsh to me or shaming of me or anything. I can be very resistant and get nowhere that way. But when people are kind, I can hear where I might be going a little bit awry, and grow. So the idea of featherweight, keep things light, treat yourself with that feather, and things will go better.
Can we reach across the aisle and let love lead the way? We love to toast to world peace around the holidays. But can we forgive our own families and let love lead the way? Can we set aside to be light just for tonight? Can we set aside all we think that we know to heal this radio? Can this us and them lightly cast away? Can we reach across our own front yards and let love lead the way? If the love we make is the love we take, let love lead the way. Let love lead the way. If you want to learn to love better, love lead the way. Start with those you hate. Let love, no matter what they say. Help us see the way. Our real opponent isn't left or right. It's the donor class and they love to see us fight. We win when we unite. Let love lead the way. Learn to love, let love lead the way. You've got to learn to love, let love lead the way. 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 Today is the day.
In the second Trump administration, it's denying the existence of trans, non-binary, and gender fluid people, creating a false narrative of the gender binary. We know this idea of gender binary is medically incorrect, as well as historically, sociologically, and psychologically inaccurate. Indigenous people in the Americas were called Two-Spirit, and they were viewed with respect and appreciation. And there was a sacredness that was honored within their expression of their gender and sexual identity. So trans issues have sort of controversy, from reissued passports and birth certificates to teachers and parents calling children by their preferred pronouns, from trans women in sports to elective medical transitioning for minors. A lot of people have a lot of strong opinions. And I'm wondering, as a trans woman, are you concerned that these specific and separate issues could be conflated in the same category as the right to identify as female? And are you concerned that those issues might overshadow the big picture of trans rights as a whole?
Yeah, put that brilliantly, really, actually. I think that, there are a lot of smaller issues. And surprisingly, as a trans person, earlier in the interview, I said that sometimes my personal opinions might be different from other trans people. And so on some of these particular issues, my own personal view may not be the same as many others. And so when we get down into the micro stuff, we get lost in the weeds and we're losing the bigger picture, which is, what Dana was talking about with her song "Let Love Lead the Way." We as a group of people who are persecuted, we need to be leading the way in trying to get people, the populace in general, to appreciate that we're human beings and that we're nice people. Actually, we're not weirdos. We don't have an agenda. I don't have an agenda. I just want to be. I want to like people myself, and I do. And in fact, I actually like a lot of people who have opinions that I don't understand how they got there with those opinions, but I still really like them a lot. And they're still my friends, and I don't unfriend them on Facebook because they may have, different opinions about me, because we all need to live together, and plurality makes the world a better place. And, the big picture is that, the administration is using trans people as a political tool to gain support and just sort of trying to get people to think of us poorly. The way out of that is it's not to get combative, although in some cases you do. I mean, if it gets really, really bad, maybe it does come down to combat, but we're not there yet. And really what we need to do is to try to win people over and get them to like us, and the best way to do that is to be nice to them. As hard as that may seem to many people, people on the ground, okay, not the people who are trying to use this trans issue as a wedge to get votes, okay, the people on the ground who may have picked up on this stuff, the reason they're thinking that way is because they actually don't really know any trans people, and they're isolated and they don't know, and they're afraid, and I understand the fear. When I get into discussions with people like that, then one of the first things I try to impress them with, well, if you got to know me, I bet you'd really like me a lot, because I'm kind of cool. I'm really nice. I'm a nice person. I'm kind. I'm easygoing, and I'm a kick-ass drummer. So you might like my band even. You might like me, really, and just try to work on that angle. We're at a really crucial point, and we really, really, really need to heal the divide. It's the only way that we're just not going to end up in a totally bad place. So,
yeah, I think you raise a really good point about people not knowing any trans people, and that's a part of it. I also think that there's a divide between what people want the world to think that they think and what they actually think, because they don't want to be seen as breaking from their macho character or their conservative character.
And I think for a lot of those people, too, it's a power grab thing. So it's maybe a cynical viewpoint, but I think that there are a lot of political operatives that I have no idea what they actually think, other than that they want to be in power, and they'll do whatever it takes. And this happens to be a real convenient straw man to beat up.
People's fear of underage kids being given the choice to choose hormones or surgery has become this big monster of a debate. And I have friends whose kids have lived as trans and then went back to living as their birth gender. So what are your thoughts on underage transition? Do you even want to share them?
Sure, I would love to. And although it's a huge issue, and I don't really have like a blanket, well, it's okay, or no, don't do it. It's very nuanced, and there's a lot of contours to it. Indeed, there are, and perhaps the majority of adolescents who are treated by competent professionals, and I want to underline that, professionals who have a lot of experience dealing with adolescents who experience gender dysphoria, that perhaps the majority of them that are treated, provided that they have the right symptoms and have undergone the right screening, that are treated with hormones and or puberty blockers, that can really help them psychologically. However, there's really hasn't been enough deep study on what these treatments do in the long term. And there are problems that can arise, such as bone density problems and things like that can be caused by puberty blockers. So there really needs to be a lot more study done on this stuff. And I fear that in this administration there's going to be no study done on it. They're just going to throw it all away and just go after anybody who says that there couldn't. Well, maybe there are some points about it that might be good. And then the other thing is too that happens a lot, I think, is, once these treatments became known. I think that there were a lot of medical professionals in the United States. In the United States, we don't have any. I mean, the Trump administration will probably try to get everybody to think otherwise, but there is no central control in the United States over medical professionals. They all make decisions on their own. And so a lot of medical professionals, I think, probably with good intent, might have read about, the stuff that was going on with hormone treatments and puberty blockers, and they wanted to jump on the bandwagon, and they sort of started prescribing these treatments to individuals who really should never have gotten them. And if the people had been screened by doctors who followed, the proper standards, that those people would have been screened out and not given the treatments. And so you end up with people who get the treatments, and then at some point they go, no, wait, this is wrong, and they back out. And at that point, the hormones may have done something like, for instance, if you're transitioning from female to male, your voice might be lowered, and once the voice is lowered, that's permanent, that can't be changed, and that's not good. So all of those things need to be looked at more carefully. I don't think you can make a blanket statement that, it's all terrible, so we shouldn't give any treatments to anybody ever. Kids should just not be treated for that. I think that that's wrong. I also think that it's wrong to just say, well, it's really good, and anybody who needs it should get it, because we don't really know enough about it yet either.
I want to remind you of something you talked with me about, and hope you'll share more about it here. I talked about how some of the positive reasons that it would be good for young people in certain instances, certain very special instances, to be able to transition while underage.
Sure, and I can speak to that. You again, at some point at Pandora, I think we've talked about this in the past too, but for me, okay, as an adult, I really needed to have the full treatment, and I've since undergone I think it's getting close to a dozen surgeries now, and very complete. So, and my voice is low, and it's male, and I still have certain male characteristics. And the thing is, if you're the right person, and this is really what you need, if you are able to catch it before puberty sets in, the end results are much preferable. I mean, setting aside bone density issues or things that like that's poorly understood at this point. But if I had been able to start transitioning when I was age 12, and I knew by age 12 I knew I was transgender. Actually, I think it'd go back to age 4 is when I first started having the feelings, like really young. If I could have transitioned it before puberty set in, the results would have been much better and a lot cheaper. I mean, 12 surgeries. I don't know how much that costs, but it's a staggering amount of money. And I think if I had been able to do that, my transition would have been more complete. My life would have been a lot easier. It would have been hard because, at 12 years old, or 11 years old, it was 1965. That would have been really hard. But anyways, I think in a lot of ways, I could have been. It could have been easier for me.
Well, thank you so much for being with us today. I really appreciate this conversation. It's been a delight, and I'm honored that International Women's Day and my invitation to you led to this project. It's fantastic, and I'm so happy to have you back on, Rikki Bates. Thank you so much for being here again on Healing Wisdom. And thank you so much, Dana Butterfly McCoy, for being with us. It has been a delight.
I've enjoyed our conversation so much as well.
Thanks. Yeah, this is awesome. And I'm so honored that you asked me to participate. And
You've been listening to Healing Wisdom at Outermost Radio. All of our shows are podcasts at WOMR.org. Also check out healingwisdomradioshow.com and contact me at pandora@WOMR.org.